subtitles English, please. Thank you. I have not, actually. Please adjust the slider until the computer is barely visible. Here? Feel like I can see the top of the computer there, but not the middle. Also, my glasses need to be cleaned. Invisible. Invisible. I mean, I can see something is there, but I can't identify it as a computer. So I'm going to say this is at least, well, this is identifiable as a computer. Here. I don't know. I feel like here's good. Probably going to be way too bright. We'll see. The end of the turning time. Oh, actually, there it is. Nope. It's 1 a.m. There you go. This bill is sent to me. Access to the main menu. Okay. You right there, Wolf? So I have seen Let's Plays of it, but I have not played it myself. Play good here. Notice. I don't know, side effects. Okay. Everything is. This is yours. I'd like separately larger, please. Yes, there we go. Background opacity. Let's see this far. It's pretty. Oh, maybe what I'm clicking on? Translation version. I don't think I need that. There's some text next to please. Oh, that's very nice. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Reduce motion. We'll see. Oh yeah. I'm not fully awake, so that'd be great. That's actually really nice. That's a really nice setting. I like that. I'll go auto walk. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Oh no. Push middle. Auto toggle. Okay. Oh no. That is with the stick. Yeah. Because I should not play the credits before I play the game. The end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the...
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
I just realized I think I've been muted the whole time. Sorry.
Stanley
Just
just
reading
sat
all the
around
things.
twiddling his thumbs.
I'm not. I'm
Trying
just
to
looking
input
at the
anything
kitty
on
cat.
the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
I like the kitty cat. Oh, I can crouch. Oh, crouch.
2845.
Okay, all right. Wow, you're impatient. 2, 8, 4. That
Yet
one.
incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input
Oh.
the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Here. Oh. It's creepy. Oh. Okay. So yeah, I know you can do like other things to mess with the narrator, but
Descending
I don't
deeper
think
into
I've-
the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
But yeah, I don't think I've ever seen the Let's Play I watched. I don't think they actually just went through it.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
But yeah, the one I watched years ago, I don't believe they actually just went through and followed the narrator's instructions. Any of their runs, so I figure I'd give that a try. Any instructions? Okay, turn the light.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
I actually still don't see anybody in the camera. Let's see, which one was I to? I don't remember which one. Is there more bridge for me to go on? Am I supposed to push this button?
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Any guidance on how we want to do that? This is creepy. Don't like the glowing red circle. Mind controls idle, awaiting input.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Okay. So off, yeah? That was easy.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. and that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
What? Oh, there's a bunch of trophies.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
How do you crouch again? Oh, here you go. I just like work. I like work. I just... Oh, that's rude. I like bubbles. Let's see. Still have time. Even for my dryer to dry. This person hates Mondays as well. Yeah. Probably not my favorite. Let me go in there. Can I like pick up a chair or anything? So can I change the interact button? Rebind controls. Interact. Okay. I want this to be interact. Wait, say something? It can just either be all of these buttons or one of these buttons. All of them would be better because then I could use. Uh-oh. Really? There we go. Alright. That thing. I was just saying. Awaiting input. That is an old phone. So I really want the trigger to be the door button now. No. There's no jump there.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Who did that last time though? Is there a new door? Let's see if there's anything else left to the left.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Oh, phone closet
Oh,
again.
no. Oh, no, 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 not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm
What?
just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please
What
take your
are
time.
you talking about? I was looking for Chris before. On one of the posters it says, get Chris out of the... I didn't do anything strange in here last time. I just took a peek. Yeah, but, oh,
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
now see what's the... Oh, I don't like that. Why is it so red?
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did
Weird.
doors close automatically behind him wherever he went?
How
And
is
for
my
that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself
Whoa.
soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled
it's
that he
nice.
had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please. It's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
I don't know about
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Well, that was pretty messed up. Bye.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Oh, I can't go back.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it
Check
didn't
the
make a
doors.
single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
I finished your story all the way to the end. Now it's my turn. Play with it. My stepladder. I never did that. Go. Go.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
I think it was like a. Wait, what time is it? What was that? That was left. Okay. I'm gonna keep checking things. Oh, it almost sounded like it was gonna open. Nope.
Yet there was not a single
yeah, so
person
there's,
here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to
Chris
go
out of the
up to his
broom
boss's
closet.
office, hoping he might find an answer there.
See? Get Chris out of the boom closet. I read that. I was like, oh, what? Are you serious? That seems rude.
Coming to a
Alright,
staircase,
so
Stanley
existential
walked
crisis
upstairs
is
to his boss's
downstairs.
office.
I'm doing that. Oh, money in the morning, money in the evening, money for breakfast. My crisps. Oh, it opened this time. Indoors monthly, time, graphs. Good poor panda. What does it say? Business strategy? What kind of business strategy is that? Oh, oh no. I got a choice here. I'll go up. Hey, narrator coming along. He's definitely coming along. There's a lot of yeah, it's about push the button again. Oh, are they? But Okay, so that's just a room shaking thing.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. 2845.
All right, you.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Oh, Phoebe. Whoa. Um. Uh-oh. Oh. Okay. I tried. Oops. Loading, loading, loading. Wait. Oh.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Yeah, what's this?
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
I guess we'll check it out.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
This one of these right here. Oh, that's very creepy. I don't know, man. Whoop. Guess we're going down. Oh, oh, there's. Whoa.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life.
Oh no.
Farewell, Stanley.
Oh no. Oh dear. Oh no. Oh dear. Oh no.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Well,
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
yeah. Ooh.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Pacing of this opening section was important to get right. The corridor had been moved and altered to make sure the player reaches the door. Good time. This blueprint shows the office from the beginning of the game. Past Stanley's office. The two doors, the first side of the game was built. Section I added all the open. Okay. Stanley's computer. Filing cabinets. Office computers. Mm-hmm. Oh. Just the credits? Button sounds. I like the sounds in the game. Mm-hmm. Oh, those are some good button sounds. Let's see. The office. Who's sitting? nature painting. All right. Maintenance room, an early version of the maintenance room. Oh, there's a cat up here. Oh, nice way to show off your game assets. Alien base. Alien developer designed endings for Stanley. Game will come. We can say we really shortly started to build it. Was far too jokey and on the nose for the tone of the game. Plus, some of the people interpreted it as making fun of people who like shooters, which is not our intention. The lounge. Narrating emails. After the second trailer, we sent out asked people to email the narrator for questions. While we had initially planned to use these as further promotional materials, we never found the perfect use for them. Here's a selection of those emails. Let's see. I am Anthony. I have a question for you. What is your message for today? There's a skeleton inside of you. There are more skeletons in this world than humans. Final warning. That's a question brought forth by intent past and myself. Am I, Stanley? Are you spying on me? I didn't. Why? How? Question. Will the game feature a capybaras? It does not seem to. How do you say? Sincerely, Michael the Rock Martin. Oh, are you gay? Dink dink? Dink dunk? I appreciate the previous Stanley game as a work of art and still in town. I appreciate the freaking art. Why is one we finally got all of Infinite Quest. How many endings of the parable is really going to let me go shopping? I hope it will have a fine selection of desert boots. How do you make a JRPG? How do you make the worst game better? What is the difference between a duck? How is the game going? I hope it's good or better than the first one. From a cool man. Are you a rock? Could you tell me what the significance of number 1112800 is? Well, the thing I want you to know is, what would you do if Stanley entered any of the rooms? For instance, on a scale of Max Ernest to Salvador Dali, how surreal would this game be? Were you born with a magnificent voice, or did you bargain with the... Congratulations! In line with our previous announcement regarding the ongoing promotion, here is the fully attached file. Congratulations, you're the first to apply in 24 hours. I want to tell you I like the Stanley Parallel as much as I like seeing humorous small badger in swim trunks. Indeed, it is as much as I like walking in the park. Please, I'd like you to keep it available top secret and delete it if you're not interested. Get back to me if you're interested in spam. How do you type with boxing gloves on? Oh dear, strong bad. How do you type with boxing gloves on? Oh man, it's old internet. What do the lights in the control room do? I really want to know. Turns on the lights, my friend. see. Business broker, please. Seems spam. Treat as important, not spam. Missionary guy. What is your message for today? Oh, I think I saw that one. What? Is it repeating itself? Excuse me. Alright, that's definitely repeating itself now. Okay, let's see. I feel like there's one I only saw part of stuff earlier on. Capybaras. Like 3 more. Stay in shape. Oh, that one. Why does it go so fast on that particular one? I guess we'll never know. Art. Alright, let's see what this is. Oh. I haven't seen all of this stuff. Let's see. What's this one? Zending went through many iterations. Stream represents the 4th version of the ending. We thought it was complete, but decided to abandon and change it again shortly after launch. The game is now paused. In the game, resume the game. Escape menu. For a long time we had an ending that only ended when the player restarted from the escape menu. Unfortunately, very few players realized that this was what they were supposed to do, which was just frustrating for everybody. Ending levers. These were originally part of the ending. The narrator would pull the lever, and the narrator would describe what color they had pulled. She fix another version known as the Zending, which eventually cut and merged with another game. Zending. Okay. Trailers remain 4 major trailers. This one was broken rooms, and they're informing viewers that is preparing a new version of Stanley Parallel. Oh, okay, okay. Meeting room. 2 options. What about this? A bench. Indoor maintenance sound. The original back on track offered. First choice. I wonder if there's a bench. Apartment timer. Previous version. The choice in an apartment timer could be 15 seconds to pick up the phone. Not picking up the phone would lead to a different ending. Okay. Office. My laundry timer is about to be going off. Speaking of timers. Hi, baby. I know. You want me to put my legs down so you can sit on my lap again. But the laundry timer is going to pitch me in 7 minutes. What was that? Something moved over here. I saw it. Ah, see? Countdown desk. Find the desk from early version. Countdown and... countdown. Oh. Freedom ending. This is the freedom ending. This is in beta. Monitor elevator. For time, the elevator in the monitor can go up or down. Freedom above and countdown below. Abandon this when players found it too difficult to remember what was up and what was down, and place 2 endings together instead. Okay. Is this where I came in?
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to
What?
control one another. How they both wish to be free.
What are you talking about? Let's see here. Money? Okay. We saw here. Saw there. Alright. Came up. Saw these things. In his office. Okay. Look out there. Office. Office clock. There goes the star. Lounge. Down. Narration outtakes. Alexa, stop.
Stanley pushed the orange lever. Stanley stood on the roof. And finally, he pushed the number 6.
It feels like it has
And
things
finally, he pushed the number 9. Stanley walked over the bridge. Then he pushed the number 8. Stanley stood on the snow. Stanley pushed the number 6. Then he pushed the number 8. Stanley jumped in the river. Still nothing. I don't know. Well, in that case, I'll tell you what. You win. Congratulations. You did it. I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. What do we do now? I don't... Stanley, where are you right now? Where am I? I'm trying to figure out, but I can't. Stanley, who am I? Can you speak to me? Please talk. Have we done this before? Have we been in this room before? How many times have we done this? How many times have I said these exact words? Say something.
I don't know.
Anything. Help me, Stanley. I don't know who what I... Stan, help. Don't.
Hello?
Now look closely, Stanley. See how it's impossible for the player to do anything in this room. Perfect example of poor level design. Textbook mistake. It's the kind of thing you'd pick up on intuitively if you had even the most fundamental understanding of good and bad game design. Oh, I don't. Of course, they're throwing a surprise party the next hour trying to all his button pushing. Here, I'm just going to make this easy on you. Shoot. Well, try the other one then. And finally, he pushed the number 9.
I don't think that's really him. I do that.
Stanley pushed the orange lever. Stanley stood on the snow. Now then, this elevator for sure will get him right back on track to where he was supposed to be in the story.
Alright, so where was that doorway I was looking at before? Where she started talking again? Here. Okay. I guess I'll, oh. Oh.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Turn off your PlayStation. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you.
I do need to go change my laundry around and get to bed. Could have it begin the game again? Or go to the menu? Let's try that. Alright, well, have it going. Good night.